Okay, in board docs is a memo that I shared with you on Friday. So just some highlights of that memo. Rich, Ross, and myself, Julie, and Whitney had talked at our district leadership team about our staff members that are filling in for responsibilities for staff members we haven't hired yet. So there's two specific positions I wanted to bring up. One is for an occupational therapist, and the other is for the advanced learning teacher. The occupational therapist was originally posted on August of this year, and in response to more therapy sessions needed. And we have had our two occupational therapists pick up that workload. And we also have a staffing or an agency that we contract with for day-to-day therapy work, and they help out 16 hours per week. So we are not able to increase that because that is the max capability or capacity that that organization has. And there are no other organizations that would be able to fill in for that, to help us with that need. So with also with the advanced learning teacher, we have had our Northside teaching and learning coach fill in on for those responsibilities that include grade level enrichment groups and the developing lesson plans for those students, coordinating out of school academic competitions and enrichment activities, and meeting with those small groups of students, 4th through 6th grade at Northside. So those are the two positions that have not been filled. And we have a total of 3 staff members that are fulfilling those roles. So this is just to give you a high level overview of it. And on our January 12th board meeting, we'll be bringing back more details and the 3 staff members that are filling in that role. And we're going to ask for overloads to be paid to those individuals from the beginning of the school year until we find somebody.
Mine got muted, sorry. Yep.
Check. Can you hear me? Check. Thanks.
Right, we'll move on to 2B, discussion and possible action on potential facility projects. I believe we had a proposal at our meeting last week. Any additional? I have a question then before.
I was just going to summarize.
Oh, summarize? Okay.
Yeah. So on December 2nd, the Finance Committee met related to the long-term capital maintenance plan, and there were the 2 items that were presented for consideration. The first was the construction of the healthcare sciences, and the second was the construction of the new district maintenance facility. At the time, we had delayed the recommendation, but it is the recommendation of the committee to move forward with these projects.
Any questions?
Just not a question, but clarity. Tonight, we're only voting on the 8.5% kind of discovery fee, I guess. What was it?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. What you're voting on tonight is approving an estimated 8.5% of what the total project cost ends up being once the bid phase is complete. That cost is approximate right now based on the 2 estimates we received from our construction managers.
So should these bids come in, let's say Jeremy's thing comes in at $10 million, we still can say we're not interested.
Correct. Yes. 100%.
I don't foresee that, but just throwing that out there.
Yep. The only commitment would be for getting the project through bid phase.
So I have a question about the location of where the garage is.
Sure.
the maintenance facility is. I was driving up to the concert last week at the high school, and I came up the sideway where that's going to be, and the view as you come up that hill of the high school is so nice. You know, you see the park, you see the tennis courts, and our high school is really beautiful, in my opinion. And I'm just wondering, it's a question, if during this architect and engineering phase, they could look at and consider something that wasn't right there blocking that kind of view of the high school. So again, I'm not against anything that's out there. I'm just asking if it could be considered.
Yeah, and we can like render what that would look like from the vantage point you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like to see what it would look like with a building sitting there. We can definitely have that done, just so you can see what it would look like before it's built too. But that is definitely something we can consider.
Thank you so much.
Stephen, how far from Hilltop Drive would the building be?
We would try to hug the building and the site as close to the existing parking lot as possible.
Okay.
I will say that the site was chosen there really for trying to make a nice, neat, efficient, compact location without disturbing too much of the existing, district or high school campus there. Its connection to existing utilities for sanitary and domestic water is right there at the intersection of Municipal and Hilltop. And, keeping things, hugged up tight to that parking lot would be most efficient to not disturb more of the park than we would absolutely have to.
And how tall is the building proposed to be?
Like 20 to 25 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
On the picture that's on the screen above me, it has a rectangle around both the current and it's building a location for the scale, approximate footprint that it would take up.
That is not to scale. That was just a general, give the board and people a general idea of the location that it would be at, but it would be definitely more skewed towards the parking lot. I'd say that, without being fully complete through design, but it would definitely be 2/3 towards the parking lot. You'd still have green space along Hilltop.
Steve, I know we're a little preliminary yet, and I appreciate the location. So on that discussion and the logic of you putting there, is there any, being that that's a park now, and we're moving the shot put, which that counts for that, is there anything else that we're not thinking about that utilizes that space that might have to be relocated?
We had pretty extensive conversations about that with Jeff Spiewak, athletic director, and really all that space is used for currently is shot put. So relocating that to the the west side of the parking lot in the orientation that is somewhat similar to what's there today would meet the needs of what happens in that location now.
I think they do use it for soccer also.
They do?
Sure, yeah.
I'll make sure to have a conversation with Tom Parsons with youth soccer. And
Yeah, I think it's used mainly as a practice space.
Okay.
But there's plenty of space. I don't think there's a
Sure.
shortage of practice spaces,
I'll
but
definitely make sure that youth soccer is aware of
Yeah.
any potential changes in a timeline so they can plan accordingly too.
thanks.
Stephen, what about there's might be some summer events. I know there's a softball tournament that might spill over into volleyball and bags and stuff. Do they use that space? And I'm sure there's plenty of space otherwise, but have we reached out to those groups and just kind of?
I'll put my other hat on, the softball hat, and the softball tournament you're talking about is now, we had the last year was the summer of 25. So besides that event that you're talking about, that first week of August, there's no use that we had at Central Park that used that green space.
Okay. And then on that space, when I drive by and look at that and kind of get the visual like Annette did, I noticed that it's pretty low right there. I'm sure that's part of the plans and the bid and all that, but is that going to need to be built up at all to accommodate that low space there?
It'll have to be brought up to the level of the parking lot, but that actually works out well with the, ground, with the way the slope comes down right now. That kind of helps us build a natural swale as we build the site up to run water around that proposed site. So that would have to be built up at least probably 2 feet, which is factored in currently.
The only other question I had was about the parking. Will there still be parking availability for parents that want to go see the shot put, or will they have to park higher up by the high school?
As of right now, in our preliminary conversations, the priority was not to reduce the parking lot capacity at all. So that was definitely a priority, not to eliminate Central Park's parking lot for tennis, shot put, softball, any of that. So it was a priority not to reduce parking. And that's used frequently too for student drop off and pickup for middle school. I mean, we tried to factor in not losing any of that.
Okay. On that note, I will move to approve the architect design fee estimated at 8.5% of the final project cost for the construction of a new district maintenance facility.
Second.
I have a motion from Tracy, a second from Ed. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you.
I will move to approve the architect design fee estimated at 8.5% of the final project cost for the healthcare sciences renovations at Milton High School.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion from Tracy, a second from Rick. Any other questions?
I just wanted to
Discussion?
I just wanted to make a comment. I think this is so exciting. I think talk about opportunity. Here's a great thing for our students to get involved in. And so thanks to everyone who's making this happen.
I would second that, and thanks Jeremy and everybody that helped us kind of understand this. So I appreciate the way it was presented to us. So thank you.
I'll just do one last thank you. I just want to, maybe there's more, but Annette and Rich for scheduling this, and you guys for this special meeting. It gave us as a board another week to study on this. And I know I've had a few people reach out with questions and stuff like that. So I think it was great, and hopefully it doesn't mess with your timeline any. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. We appreciate the questions and look forward to reporting back in a few months.
I heard from a few people too, and they were all just really excited to know that our high school would be able to offer more opportunities in this field to students and certification. And so it was nice to hear that. Oh, that's right. I'm looking for a new motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you both. Excuse me. We're going to move on to the superintendent search. And excuse me, just a couple of things I'd like to highlight as we start this discussion. I read through the policies to see, what our role and responsibilities are, and it is a very important role that we have to through the process. And so the first thing that I did was start reaching out and talking to some firms and organizations to see what the cost would be if we were to hire someone to do this for us. I reached out to the chair of our Human Resources Committee and requested that he work with me on this process to form a subcommittee to move this forward. I would say to the other board members who are here, if you're interested in joining that subcommittee, I do want to keep it small, and we need a lot of flexibility for scheduling because we have a really tight timeline. But if you would just send me an email, I would appreciate it. I think that's what I want to share starting the conversation. In each of these proposals, you'll see comparisons over what they offer and the costs that are assigned to them. And along with that, Rick and I met with Chris and Rich to see what would happen if we chose to do this internally. And it was a really good discussion. And I asked Chris if he would come and speak to that a little bit and then be available to answer our questions about that option first, and then we can dig into the other options. My goal for this discussion is that we can get our questions out there. If there are different companies to call, if we have questions for these companies, I'd like to know those today so that hopefully on January 12th, when we meet, we can move forward with how we're going to hire. And I base that on the fact that shortly after that is the school board conference. And I would like to be able to speak to that or have a hiring company speaking to that at the conference. It's a good opportunity to talk to people and get the word out. So Chris.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I want to share that the Human Resource Department is prepared to support the Board of Education in whatever capacity it deems necessary and appropriate. However, serving as lead for the district's superintendent search at this time would require time and resources beyond what my department is able to provide. So we still want to be part of this part of this search and help out in any way we can. So I have been here since 2007, and I've seen, I believe, Rich is the 5th superintendent I've worked underneath. So each process has been done differently based off of the Board of Education and how they have deemed to move forward at that time with each of those superintendents. So any questions that you would have, I'd be relying on my experience over the years, but willing to help out in any way that you would deem necessary and appropriate.
Chris, I know, I don't expect you to answer right this second, but if asked, could you provide feedback on what experience you thought was the best? And maybe the one that you thought was the least productive, or
Sure.
any recommendations on a process?
Yeah, I can, I would have to think on that. And I can share that with Annette and Rick on that and then report back to the Board of Education as a whole. But yeah, absolutely. Not a problem, Ed.
I think it would make sense if he's been through 5 of these to at least pick his brain.
Other questions on who would choose this process internally? Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for all that. And we have a great HR team. They do a lot for us. My personal opinion is I would hate to see what would happen if we expected even more of them. This is a big job. This is the most important thing that you'll do as a board member, is hire a superintendent. And I think we need to, yes, it's going to cost us some money, but I believe we need to use the experts that are out there to help us do the job and get it done right. We've got some great proposals. And so there's no shortage of people who are willing and able to help us do that. So I think we should take advantage of that.
And just to address one thing that you said, Rick, I spoke with Ross and told him what the highest bid was to make sure that there was money available in the budget. And he said it was not a problem at all. So, I said there's this range, and he said the highest one that we have, it still would fit within the budget. And then he followed that with, it's not like it's really a choice. So.
I actually have a quick question. So when you look at and again, some of them were, sorry, I guess my question is it written in policy that we have to post? I don't know how the district policy works, where you, like in some private firms, you have to post first internally, no matter what. That's just the policy, the way it states. Does that have to happen before the board would engage with a search firm I'm just out of curiosity what that,
It
I tried to read the
doesn't-
policies and it wasn't clear.
It does not for a superintendent search. So if we're talking about teaching staff or something, support staff, those, we have different processes and procedures. That's where those policies would apply, but not with the superintendent.
Okay, thank you.
And Chris, maybe Dr. Smith can answer this too. Are we bound to follow any kind of RFP process, request for proposals? And if so, did we do so?
I don't think it reaches the threshold of cost for us to have to do that based on what I read in policy. It's not enough money to require an RFP.
That's correct. It would be a requirement.
Perfect, thank you.
I do have one more question. Is it kind of standard in the industry? Because in my industry, it would be standard at a level, as an executive level to execute a search firm. Is that kind of standard operating procedure in your world?
So with the superintendent, absolutely, because these search firms have retired superintendents or former superintendents that have done the role. So they have those connections. They have with organizations across the state and in the tri-state area. That's those experiences I can't match with the people that run in my circles are not in those type of circles. So I don't have that to lean on when it comes to the recruiting component. So that's where they would have a huge advantage over us doing it internally.
Tracy, I would also add that if you look at the references and the number of districts that they have hired for in two of the proposals, McPherson and HYA, that's a lot of school districts. It was a lot. And in speaking with each of these, and I've spoken to someone from every organization now, McPherson and HYA could both, if we were to vote on January 12th, would be ready to start on January 13th.
Rich, do you have an idea on how many open superintendent positions there are right now in the state? Is that
I
roughly?
don't know for sure. I mean, the ones that I saw there that I just named are 9 of them. And I'm pretty sure that the School Board Association is doing a couple of them right now too. But I'm not sure if there are other districts that are leading their own or not.
So I have oh, go ahead, Rick.
I guess I'm curious, is there anyone who isn't interested in using a search firm?
Just to note, Jen isn't here, but
Yeah. Right.
of those who are here. So a question that I have for the board is, what are the things that, since it sounds like we're all willing to look at a firm, what are the things we absolutely have to have? What are our needs from a firm? What would be some things we would want but aren't essential? And what concerns do we have? And Chelsea has offered to take some notes for us tonight. So as we move forward, I can reference back, Rick and I can reference back to those. What are the things that are absolutely essential?
Well, I want someone with a good track record, with experience, with references. I think it'd be great to have someone who has experience in the area too, southern Wisconsin. Flexibility too. I mean, the willingness to help and to start soon, I think is also, because this isn't something we want to delay or take our time on. We don't want to rush it, but we don't want to dawdle either. So I guess I think that's an important thing for me too.
So I'll jump in. Everything Rick said, and a couple things that come to my mind. I would appreciate someone who has an eye on the future and innovation, and I would appreciate someone that can help build culture or help maintain the culture that Rich has built so well. So those are two key things that are important to me.
So Ed, at this point, I would like us to focus from what would we want from a consulting company?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to the superintendent.
Yep. And we're going to do that. But tonight, if we can work on the consulting companies.
Then I will pivot, and thank you for the correction, and go with a company that can, bring us good candidates and move this in a timely fashion.
I have a question. In your conversations, Annette, with any of these firms, do they get involved in what I'll call marketing our district? I mean, we can post that there's an opening, but what I want to see happen is for us to be able to speak. This is one of the premier openings in the state, right? By any measure that anyone wants to put up there. So if there's 9 other openings or 19 other openings, whatever it is, I think, can go toe to toe with any district in Wisconsin and extol the virtues of this district in all the different manners that we could talk about. I want to know if the search firm, when they reach out to potential candidates, if they can, we're going to pay them X $1,000. I know what they do for us as far as interview and come up with the questions, et cetera, but can they promote Milton against District X? Has that been part of your dialogue?
It was with three of the companies. And the 2 that are doing hiring right now in Wisconsin said almost what you said, in that we are a very desirable district, and they were not at all concerned with us being able to get high quality candidates. So especially if we're able to post in January, they thought that would get us right in the pool with the people who might be looking. And also, those 2 firms highlighted that there might be people who aren't looking, but we're waiting for Milton to open. So we might get candidates, if we can get the word out, that maybe aren't really looking, but would want to move because we're so desirable.
Okay, and then I have a follow-up question. If we contract with a firm, are we allowed to do any of our own search?
I don't know the answer to that, but that's a question I'll go back and ask and have an answer by the 12th.
Because that landed in my lap a number of years ago, and the circumstances were exceedingly different. We were going to try and hire an interim because we were even later into the hiring schedule, et cetera. So we felt like there were some big hurdles, and that we just approached it a little differently. That's not to say it's better or worse. I'm not against using a search firm, but what I learned a number of years ago is that if you can get into that network, and I was at one point, I'm not as much so now, you can find folks that have an eye on Milton, as you mentioned, if they hear that it's open, et cetera. So I would hate to miss a potential good candidate because we can't reach out to them based on contractual language with some firm.
And I've read all of these proposals 3 times now, and nobody said we couldn't.
Okay.
But again, just because they don't say it doesn't mean we can't. And so I will definitely ask the question.
Right. And those folks are way better resources than I would be, for example, like Chris or Rich alluded to. Those are retired superintendents. They know the rest of their colleagues, right? And they know folks that may have started at a position and this would be the next logical step or whatever. There's a lot of different ways to characterize it, but I just I want as much flexibility and as big of a purview of the potential candidates as we can get. So,
Yep, I'll find out, Joe.
Joe, can you just clarify what kind of search would we do on our own?
So I can highlight a little of what happened in 2019, I think it would have been. I reached out to John Bales, who's the executive director of the WASDA, explained our situation. And if you don't know, WASDA has an interim list right on their website, right? There's 30 people on there. Most of those are retired superintendents. That became an automatic starting point, and I explained to John a little of the ins and outs of what we kind of thought we needed, and he dialed into 5 or 6 people, so we had an initial start point. I had a personal connection to a friend of mine taught the business manager class at UW-Whitewater for all the business managers. And in a conversation, she said, "Oh, have you talked to so-and-so?" which was a superintendent at another district. He'd be a great fit. I called him on the phone. We had a 2.5-hour conversation. Ultimately didn't interview him, but it was a good candidate and had a lot of positives. I did that with 2 other individuals too. So there was, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but I think you may have at one point reached out to John Bales and indicated your interest in a potential superintendent job, such that Rich's cover letter and resume landed in my inbox. And not to be glib, but I said, well, he's retired out of Minnesota. What do we want with him? But at any rate, so that candidate showed up in the non-traditional method, I guess. So that's where I want to see or make sure that we can, and the folks in the search world, they do a good job. I'm not dismissing and the amount of money we're looking at here, I won't say it's insignificant, but it doesn't move the needle, right, for the gravity of the job that we've got to do. So I'm fine with picking a firm and utilizing those to find candidates. I just want to be able to do all we can, maybe in adjunct with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying. And we should ask that question, and I'll have an answer before we vote from each of the organization or firms. Yep.
Joe, in that scenario, let's just say we use one of these firms and we have our own, maybe you have somebody, a connection, whatever. Did we then run them through the firm, do you imagine?
We'd have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything is still going to flow through them.
Right.
Yeah, I would think that would be logical. We didn't have a firm at that point, so it became a little bit of an in-house sifting and winnowing, and ultimately, we were trying to interview 3. One person backed out. We interviewed 2. Rich was our 7-0 choice, and the rest is history. So,
Rich.
I want to share that I think that it's a good idea to double check with the firms and to make sure, because it's an important point, but I am certain that going with a search firm doesn't keep us from reaching out to people or networking. And then, as John shared, that if there is someone that expresses an interest, then encouraging them to apply to the format that the search firm has.
As you say that, it just reminded me that 3 of the 4 did say it would be good for us to be sharing and talking to people at the conference. They specifically said that's why they wanted to post. So again, they're not saying we can't reach out and talk to people. They're encouraging us to do that.
having the posting open during that convention would be incredibly valuable in my eyes.
Yep.
And I do have one comment, or question. So in the summary, which is great, thank you very much. Part of they select the group for the board to review. Do they give the explanation for ones that were submitted that they didn't provide to us?
I can speak to two of the proposals because they have a portal with all the information that we can go to see all of their information. And if there was somebody that they didn't pick that we wanted to, we could do that. So I can't speak to the other two, but as you look through, you'll see the two that have data portals where we can see everything and find all that out.
Thank you.
Do you know that off the top of your head, which ones had the portals?
I I believe it was, hang on, I can
That's all
answer.
right. We can,
No, I can
we
answer
can-
the question. I've got my notes and I've got, right. When you read them all, if I don't have my notes, I get them all mixed up. So I've had it. Shoot. No, I can't. I thought I had it in my notes, but I don't. Oh, HYA. So they're my print notes. I have two. HYA has a data portal and WASP has a data portal.
So say we were to select McPherson as an example, what would we do with them? Like, since there's a portal, like, is there a way we could see, is that a question we can ask them?
It's a question we would have to ask the ones that don't have portals.
Thank you.
What Teresa's driving at is that something that we want? I think that was the initial question.
Right.
Whether it be a portal or paper copies, some way to review candidates that are.
Is that a want that you want on the list?
That would be something that I would want on the list, yes.
Thank you.
I have an additional question, and I beg your pardon because I have not read through the proposals. So if this is answered in there, please let me know that. Once we select a firm, will we sit down as the whole board and basically dialogue or interview with them such that they can glean from us the things that we want them looking for?
Every one of them include that, not just us, but district employees, community members, they all include that. And then writing up a district profile and, for marketing purposes, they all do that. Other needs, wants, not at all.
So, Dr. Smith, I think looking at the spreadsheet you provided with the haves and haves not for everyone, I think one of the important things is the timeline. So I think possibly we want to decide if you have a category for timeline hired by spring. To me, I feel like that's a pretty important thing, or we want somebody in place by July 1. So I think a must have from an agency is to meet a deadline that we put down.
And I will say that the two that do have a timeline, it is very detailed. It's, I would say, one of them has
Chris, off the top of my head, in the HR world, right, we offer, if Rich is staying in place or any superintendent, you offer a contract by the 15th of January, they have till the 31st to accept. I would wonder so theoretically, we would hire this firm on the 12th.
Yep.
That would be the first. I don't have a date in my head, but I'm just thinking, open on the 13th. If folks are making decisions on the 15th, 18th, 20th, or whatever with their current district, oh, I didn't know Milton was open.
So,
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things that are in 2 of the proposals is that they would start calling people immediately that they thought would be interested. It wouldn't just be that they'd post, they'd make phone calls. So 2 of the companies would do that, and I, for the reasons you just mentioned, think that would be really important, although I'm not opposed to an earlier meeting at all. Like, the will of the board.
Everyone else feels about that. We're talking the teens of January to make a decision, and then a couple of weeks will bubble past, and not that someone couldn't rescind their decision. I guess I don't, there's ways to do it, of course, but
so
So Chris was going to answer I want to go to Chris and come back.
So Joe, let me hit on your question about the January 15th deadline for the board to make a decision on a contract extension for Superintendent Dahmen based off the contract that the board and Superintendent Dahmen have signed in past years. So
is that typical in other districts?
I'm going to say when the board made a decision to hire Superintendent Dahmen, that was the first time I have seen that in a superintendent contract, was with that work that you've done and Superintendent Dahmen, and I believe in reference with John Bales. So I have not seen that language before, but it doesn't mean it's not in other superintendent contracts. So I don't know about how prevalent that would be. Rich?
I've seen it in some contracts, I know that board meeting on one side or the other of that board development session, which would buy another week to get things posted, which I think would be valuable.
I think if we were going to do that, I'd want to do it, either start that meeting at 6 so we can start on time with board development, or meet after. But it is a good day to pick. I think, Chelsea, is everybody coming to board development?
I
Then
can't be
it's
here
a
at
re-
6.
Oh, you can't be here at 6, so we could do it after. I mean, it's an hour-long session, so it's not, it wouldn't take us to midnight or anything.
Board development is starting at 6:30.
6:30.
Would that be all, is that something that the board wants us to do, is schedule a special meeting after the board development on the 5th?
Yeah.
Does that give everybody enough time to consider different options?
Could I just ask one question before, did any of the firms, when you spoke with them, have any concerns waiting? Like, did they bring that up to you at all?
They didn't say it was a concern, and nobody said, oh, we should be earlier or anything, but they all did say the sooner the better.
Okay.
Not all. The 2 of the ones said the sooner the better.
I think it's a great idea to move it up. I think the faster we can get rolling on this, the better. I mean, too bad we have the holidays in here.
Yeah.
That's pushing us back a little bit. But if we can get going that first week of January, I think that would be fantastic. And that gives everyone time to, there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of stuff here. My head was kind of spinning after you read them all. They kind of look the same, but you got to, if you take time and, that I think that what that spreadsheet you put together has been really helpful. I think that'll give everyone time to look them over and get our questions asked. And
Is it too big an ask? In town or out of town?
I think district people, I don't think we would have access to our district people. I know Rich is planning to do some traveling, and
You said between Christmas and
29th.
Well, and I suggested it because I'm talking about the board's decision to hire a firm. That doesn't involve the district people.
well, it's a special meeting, it's a public meeting, so we'd need Carrie, we'd need,
Chelsea to post in advance.
and Chelsea to take notes, and so we would need some district people, and I don't, knowing how hard they work, and the need for vacations, I would not like to ask them to come in on their vacation. That, I mean, I think the 5th, and the thing is, even if we meet the 29th, then you go right into the new year, so no firm is gonna do anything with it anyway, and then you hit the weekend. So I think if we can do it on the 5th.
So question and procedure then, would it be yourself and HR making a recommendation? Or would you prefer each of us to come back with our opinion? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's a good question.
I guess what I was kind of thinking, I don't think Annette and I, we haven't talked about
No,
this.
we haven't.
So I would like everyone to read through these. Yes, it's a lot to read. What do you think's the best? Why do you think it's the best? What questions do you have about them? Maybe we can rank them, you know? I
Yeah,
think
we
this
can
is,
come
you
back
know,
with a
pick
ranking.
your top 2 and why. I don't know, it's just a suggestion.
For when you come to the meeting, but I also think, Rick, you and I could talk about this and give a recommendation what our ranking is that night too.
Mhm.
I
I
mean,
have
we
a
can do
recommendation, but
that.
I'm going to keep it to myself for right now.
But just to be clear, the committee can come up with a recommendation, that's fine, but it absolutely takes board action.
Yes.
Of course, of
We
course.
did not
Absolutely.
do that superintendent evaluation. And we didn't do that right. This we need to do right.
What didn't we do right?
The board never took action on on approving the WASB thing. You made a recommendation and we took no motion, no action.
I thought we came back into open session and did.
We did not.
Okay, I'll look back at that.
We just need to do this right.
Annette, if we read and see a point for your spreadsheet, can we just email you?
You can edit. You can, that, everybody has full edit rights to all of that.
Okay, thank you.
So how do we share this information, ask the questions in preparation for that meeting without breaking quorum rules or, walking quorum? Is that a
Right.
concern?
That's why I was hoping tonight people would have had an opportunity and have those questions, because I do think it's going to be hard if there are questions about the proposal on the 5th, if we decided on that, or the 12th.
Yeah, board members can't have ongoing conversation about which firms they prefer and which they don't, other than at an open meeting. But it's okay for Annette and Rick as the board president and the HR chair to do some research, additional research, and share out their thoughts from what they see prior to the meeting. And they can put together a document and get it to Chelsea, and we can post it in Word docs, and we could post that earlier than on the Friday before, so that all the board members have access to see that too.
Can I ask clarity on that as it applies to the spreadsheet? I love the spreadsheet. But should we refrain from asking questions on the spreadsheet? We all have access
Oh,
to it.
no questions.
Yeah.
No, I didn't put any.
No, but if I have a question, I should not put it on the
No,
spreadsheet. That's what I wanted clarity on.
no.
I guess if there's a question, send it to Jess and Annette, maybe.
Sure, and then I'll bring it, I was gonna say kind of to Chelsea, have the hiring committee set up a committee meeting so we can have an open meeting
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
we could.
and go through that.
Would there be a way to do that committee meeting Monday before? So that way whoever could attend would have a little bit more.
What day is that? I don't even know when that
It's
is.
the 5th.
No,
That's the,
we just talked
that's the
about
date we're
moving it
gonna
to the
meet.
5th.
I know, but if it was earlier in that day, at least that gives whoever can attend the opportunity to
Oh, I thought Rick couldn't.
oh, I can't be here till
present.
6:30.
Oh,
Yeah,
my bad. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you would just have to email me your questions, please.
Are we able to reach out to any of the nearby districts that utilized the firms to ask for a or letter of recommendation? I know, like I see on the one, it says Whitewater and
So you would need to send that, and Rick and I would do that outreach.
So we would ask you that's my question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I think I heard a suggestion, and I'm going to back it and say it's a good idea, that we come to the pending fifth meeting that we're talking about now with our top two. Are we agreeing on that? Do you want to do, anybody want to do anything different? Or ranked?
I mean, I think as long as you have the reasons, you know, for and against, that way we all kind of have the same, you know, knowledge or whatever to help make that decision. But
Because in a perfect world, we all walk through the door and we have the same 1 and 2, and it's a short meeting. But then, to your point, when we don't agree, we all have our validation and we can back it up and have a conversation.
I'd like to say I appreciate the extra time to digest. There is a lot of information in front of us.
So can I just confirm that we're meeting on the 5th so that Chelsea can send out an invite? And then Rick, if you and I can work with Chelsea to set a date before that?
Is Jen going to be at that board development meeting?
Yeah.
Did you give the timeline in that on when you wanted I didn't, so I would say you'd have to let me know pretty soon this week, because Rick and I'll have to meet sooner rather than later.
I think Rick just had a really good point about Jen. We need to talk to her before we commit to that for the 5th, or commit to the 5th and see if she can make it and then change if she can't.
I think that Jen responded that she was available for the board development meeting on the 5th. And it would just be going beyond.
So
that meeting.
I think you're asking if we need to ask if she's willing to stay or wants a special.
Yeah.
I would say that we have a quorum.
Okay.
And so this is a process where we're gonna have to keep moving, and we all can't always be at everything. I think when we get to close to the final decision, that'll be a little different, but at this point.
And I appreciate your honesty with the ability to be flexible, because obviously the hiring committee is such an important role to play, but understanding that my flexibility is not where the district needs me right now. I thank you for your honesty with that.
Any other needs, wants, concerns? So then the ask is that if anyone wants, there are several asks. If anybody wants to be on the committee and has the flexibility for scheduling, to please email me yet this week. That we are going to have a special meeting on the 5th, and right now we're planning it for after our board development. And asking that each of you come with whether you rank them or your top 2 and why, whatever it is, so that we can make a decision on the 5th and then get it posted as soon as possible. Is that everything we discussed tonight? Anything else on the superintendent search? Thank you all for the discussion. I think it was really helpful. Thank you, Chris.
Annette, can you just reach out to Jen and maybe just kind of go over the things we've talked about tonight? This is a big deal, and I don't want people to miss things.
Yeah, I'll try to reach out to her tomorrow. All right, that moves us to, I think we're done, because the next item is, All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you all.